Thank you, Madam Acting Deputy President. I rise today to note the Economics Committee report on last resort home warranty insurance. When I moved on behalf of the Australian Greens for this inquiry, it was very clear to me that the privatised last resort home warranty scheme as it currently exists does not provide adequate consumer protection or building industry management in Australia, and it was very obvious to the Greens that it's not working for consumers or the building industry, and it should have either been abolished or fundamentally reformed. And therefore I just know that there are going to be hundreds of people throughout Australia today who are going to be devastated by what they will see as an extremely weak report that has not addressed the key issues that they wanted addressed. And once again, all of those builders and consumer advocate groups who've been fighting to get justice in this area for so long will see that the Senate has effectively shelved this and left it to yet more inquiries, because it's not going to go away. It will keep on going, and it will continue to dog governments until somebody has the courage to deal with it. So I have to say I'm extremely disappointed with the report. Even the Productivity Commission, in its review, commented on the large number of complaints it received about this particular insurance product. Its report noted the need for better consumer protection in the home building industry and the need for early-stage consumer protection measures like improved dispute resolution and better linking of licensing with builder performance. And one of the key aspects of last resort home warranty insurance as it has applied that has been so unjust has been the power of the insurance industry and its brokers. So the Housing Industry Association, acting as a broker, and the insurance industry itself have been able to determine who can and can't build in Australia, and that gives them incredible power over people. And if anyone complains, if anyone does anything, then there is the option of refusing them a licence. Now, quite clearly, what you need to be able to do is separate out and make sure that there is much better linkage of builder registration with the skills of the builder and the performance of that builder. That is what should determine whether people are registered as builders in this country, so people should be able to see if a builder has had a poor record of performance or whatever else. That should be able to be seen, and there should be a registration that links performance with licensing. Instead of that, it's licensed to the power of the insurance industry. The builder's registration is directly linked, or their licensing, to the power of the insurance industry and its broker. And for many years, overwhelmingly, that was the Housing Industry Association, and I'll get to that a little more in a moment. Choice magazine did an assessment of this insurance product and described it as junk insurance, and I concur with that. I don't see that it provides any benefits to consumers or to the building industry, and I completely disagree with the Senate committee majority recommendation in relation to the fact that it provides redress in some cases, because in the two largest housing collapses in recent times, in Beechwood in New South Wales and Gumleaf Construction in Victoria, last resort home warranty insurance was bypassed in handling those collapses. So if indeed it provided the cover that it said it provided when a builder became insolvent, died or disappeared, then it should have been, since it was mandatory, it should have been the mechanism that was used in those cases, and it was bypassed. So there was no evidence provided to the committee that it actually provides any redress. And the overwhelming view, and particularly from the hearing in Sydney, where we had a large number of people who'd lost vast amounts of money trying to take the insurance companies through the courts and so on to try and get the money that they thought they were entitled to under the terms of the insurance product. To say that it should stay mandatory is, again, to continue the undue power and influence of the insurance industry and the Housing Industry Association in this particular market. I support what the Tasmanian government has done in making it voluntary, and interestingly there's so much pressure on around this issue that even the Housing Industry Association came out through the inquiry and said it would support last resort home warranty insurance being made voluntary. Even they support it being made voluntary, but the majority's committee did not see fit to even take that into account, which I found very interesting. So I don't believe that the insurance product should remain mandatory. It should have become a voluntary scheme. If insurance is any good, people will take it up. And if it's going to be made mandatory, then it has to deliver what people believe it is delivering, and that is giving them some insurance against the kinds of collapse and non-completion and so on that consumers expect when they're building a home. Now, there was overwhelming support, as the chair of the committee just reported to the Senate, for the Queensland model, where it is a government-backed model, and we had lots of evidence come before the committee from just about right around the country saying that that model worked very effectively, and why couldn't it be duplicated around the country. Other states, it would not be viable, for example, to adopt a Queensland model as such in some of the smaller states, but you could expand the model so that everybody could access it, and so it would become viable in terms of the numbers if you did it across the country. Just flick passing this to COAG to look at issues of consumer protection is a guarantee for it to be going into the ether for endless period into the future. However, I'm glad there is a recommendation that issues around dispute resolution and consumer protection is going to COAG, but it's no guarantee that this will be actually dealt with. And if anyone is interested to go and look at the Queensland the Queensland scheme, it is auspiced under legislation up there. It does provide remedies for defective building works, it does provide efficient resolution of building disputes, and it provides support, education and advice for those who undertake building work and also consumers. And it regulates the industry to ensure that there's a maintenance of proper standards in the industry and achieves a reasonable balance between the interests of building contractors and consumers. So I can't see why we could not have recommended that the Commonwealth develop a framework to deliver the Queensland-style system across the country, and the only assumption I can make is that there was not a view that state governments ought to auspice this and it should stay in the private sector. And we've seen how brilliantly the private sector has managed the whole insurance industry and banking industry with the prime mortgage collapse, and I think the failure of last resort home warranty insurance is another failure of the private sector. So the Greens recommended that we should adopt a national approach to the issue and rapidly move to a system based on the Queensland model of home warranty insurance. We recommended that the Commonwealth should design the scheme, should be put through the COAG process and adopted in January 2010, that between now and 2010 that last resort home warranty insurance should not be mandatory, and that the Commonwealth should ask that the states deliver that through mirror legislation. And we agree, however, that any form of home warranty insurance should be included in the National Claims and Policies database so that there's consistency with other insurance products and people can compare at last profits with ratios, the profit ratio and the premium ratio to see what's going on, and also that if there are any loopholes currently in Commonwealth legislation that in any way exempt home warranty insurance from the proper regulatory oversight of APRA, the ACCC and ASIC, then legislation or regulation must be changed to close that loophole. So it's not going to go away. It is something that is critically important, and I think what we heard through the inquiry is that the Housing Industry Association, a private company, is not a representative structure. It's not an industry association as its name suggests. It is a private company making a large amount of money in terms of revenue, and it is time that the builders across Australia had a very good look at the Housing Industry Association, because they don't seem to have any power to control what is a private company getting a large amount of money, and in part because of this insurance product and its mandatory nature. So I would urge the government to reconsider its position in relation to this product and take a much stronger leadership role to get rid of last resort home warranty insurance as it currently exists in Australia.
Thank you, Senator.